Where's my cell phone?
All righty. Well, why is there an echo? Oh, well, now there's not. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming to our live stream this week. So we're talking about something very important. I've actually been wanting to talk about this for weeks now. It's about the adultification. It's a new term that you might have heard of. It's a phenomena happening across the U.S. It's where Black girls are viewed as less innocent, more adult than their white peers. And this is coming out of a study from Georgetown University. So you might think this is not relevant in your community, but it's very much present in the Houston area. I've talked to a couple of people from Texas Southern University who have experienced it themselves and are willing to speak about it. And not only that, but they're also doing things to make sure that they are able to change this statistic and outcome. So without further ado, I'm going to invite Jasmine Dolcine into this conversation. Jasmine, thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So full disclosure, Cara Dunavant, who is part of the Black Girls Initiative, also known as BGI, she will be joining us as soon as she downloads Google Chrome, because that's what StreamYard, which is the platform we use, that's what we'll work on. So first off, let me put your name out there so everybody knows. Tell me, when you saw the statistics from this study, what was the most appalling to you?
I think the most appalling thing is that Houston has like the largest population, I would say, of African American and minority people, particularly in the central region of Harris County. And so a lot of the data that we collected on human trafficking, domestic violence, education, and health disparities were centered on those populations, right? And so if there's a lot of arrests or there's a lot of students in junior high school and high school who are getting suspended and such, they're getting kicked, they're getting pushed out. And then what happens? They end up getting involved in the juvenile criminal system. So it was really upsetting to me to find out this information. Like the data is not from 2010. The data is within the past 3 years. And so our young women, our girls, from, adolescence, 11, 12, 13, even into college age years in their early 20s are being affected by this problem, So it's very upsetting, but it's very gratifying that the research is not just to put the facts out there. The goal of the Black Girls Initiative is to create change, and resolve the problems. So I've been really grateful for the opportunity to not just do the research, but to see these young women, part of YWAC Houston, take the helm and take the lead on planning how to get the information out there, how to connect resources in the community within their own peer groups. So
now some people might think that this is, bizarre, or people are overreacting, just playing devil's advocate here. But you've experienced it yourself. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I'm going to be 30 in August. So I come originally from New York City. And so it's a very diverse place. There's literally a melting pot, but I've experienced adultification. I've experienced teachers thinking I'm older than I am. Random, guys walking in the street like, oh, you look like you're like, I'm like, no, I'm 16. I had an experience when I was in high school. I originally went to a public high school, and then I went to a private Catholic high school in a mostly Italian neighborhood. And the principal would accuse the Black girls of bullying and all this stuff. And we all, like 10 or 12 of us, sat together in the lunchroom because everybody else was not Black. So, and it's like, how are you going to accuse the minority, literally in number and in color, of doing, like, why would you assume that we're doing that? So I've experienced the adultification and misunderstanding throughout my life. So, Yeah.
Yeah,
It's really
no,
nice.
and I'm so glad that you're sharing this with us. Thank you for doing that, because I've learned just from doing this story and other stories, what all you go through, and every race goes through different things, and it's not trying to do this whole woe is me kind of thing, but it's more of just love everyone and
Mhm.
treat people equally. It
Yeah.
just seems like such a simple concept, but it's
Mhm.
hard to do. And one of the things that Kara, who we did a story on this, which you can see on our website as well, yesterday, she was saying how this all stems from just the history and
Mhm.
Black women being perceived in a certain way.
Mhm.
How are Black women perceived, Black girls perceived
Mhm.
from history?
I mean, if we were in the United States, if you just bring it, excuse me, back to slavery, um, Black women, they were slaves. Black women, then you go through modern times. I mean, maybe 50 years ago, if that. I think the 1960s was about 60 years ago. The civil rights movement and the women's suffrage movement. So Black women literally were enslaved. And I think from that period of time, when you think about even the medical history in this country, because of slavery and because of the freedom that, Black African Americans end up having, they had to be their own doctor. They had to be their own, excuse me, caretakers. They were midwives, right? And even if you look at from a medical standpoint, when medicine became, I guess, official in the United States, a lot of those midwives, their practices were considered illegal, even though they had been doing this in their own community, birthing, helping women to birth their children for years and years and years. So I think from a medical standpoint, from an educational standpoint, from just history over time. Yes, there's been a lot of progress in our country. I mean, this week we have the confirmation of a potential Supreme Court judge who is a Black woman, and you can see how she's being disrespected when she has more qualifications than everyone else on the Supreme Court bench right now.
Mhm.
There's always a question of your integrity. There's always a question of, are you doing enough? Are you smart enough? Does the mistake that you made, it just follows you forever, having to work harder than everyone else to prove your worth and your intelligence. So it just flows from all those years ago. And so there's been progress. There's been acknowledgement, of the good things that Black women have accomplished, even in terms of natural hair. That was a whole thing. Now,
Right.
I have a little teeny weeny afro, but and I'm in the legal field as well. So it's just in beauty, in medicine, in your local neighborhood, in terms of housing and all those regulations. Black people couldn't even get a mortgage. So I think Black women have experienced over time in the history of our country, they've experienced a lot of trauma and a lot of responsibility. And even from a young age in school, being suspended more, being called out more in class. African American students are also more highly likely to be put in special education classes, being claimed that they have ADHD and other behavior disorders. While that it is true that African American students, girls and boys, have these issues, these diagnoses, a good amount of the time they may not, but it's just projected as if they do because of their behavior in school.
Hmm.
So there's a lot from childhood through adulthood, even in elder age. There's a lot of history in our country, unfortunately, of adultification and disrespect towards and lack of appreciation for Black women. So
Yeah, I want to just tell the people who I'm getting a lot of comments, and I just want to tell everyone thank you for your comments. And I'm reading them, and Michelle here saying that this is so true, and she says I've experienced this in the worst way and so many other times. I
yeah.
mean, it's out there, it's happening. I don't think that you guys would just do this or say this if you're not feeling it yourself.
Mhm.
So I I think that this is just something that's so important. Kara just emailed me saying, "Can you put me on speakerphone? Would you be able to call her
Absolutely.
speakerphone?" Yeah, I
Yes.
do want to. While you do that, I want to show this graph. Um, that was part of the study. It's right here. And it's very telling because it shows the adultification among all age groups. And you can see that the graph goes up in age group 3, which is 10 to 14. Adultification, that metric on the left side of your screen there. So it's definitely there according to this study. And again, if you want to find out more about it, you can go on our website and click on the actual story that I did more extensively. One thing that's very interesting right now that I'm going to post right here. This is all me doing it again, so excuse me. But we have, here we go. Kenitra Walker saying Black women aren't able to be fragile women. We always have to be strong Black women. When you hear that, what comes to your mind?
For me, it's true. You hear the stories of the angry Black woman.
Mm-hmm.
You hear the story of you can tolerate anything, even in medical care. Oh yeah, you can tolerate pain. But we feel like we feel sad and happy and frustrated and accomplished. And you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Black women are always seen as being aggressive and overachievers and such like that. Outside of the truth that Black women are strong, that Black women have accomplished a lot, that we have endured a lot. Black women are vulnerable, fragile people. Like, we want to have a safe space to talk amongst ourselves, and we want to be seen as a whole individual, not just labeled by stereotypes and always pushed in this one category. Like, you can be the strong one, you can handle everything, you can give advice to everybody. When you think about a Black woman, she's connected to her family, parents, grandparents, children, maybe a godmother, whatever the other responsibilities are. We wear a lot of hats as individuals. And so I think when you put on the racial stereotypes and which evolves in every arena, including starting from a young age, it's just normalized that, we have Black people, they could figure that out. It's like, no, we can't figure it out. A lot of times it wasn't even by choice.
Yeah.
That we've had to deal with tough situations and figure things out.
Mm-hmm. And I want to, Fairly Carrier says this topic is the elephant in America's room that doesn't get the attention it deserves. Thank you for the discussion. I think that it's so important, and thank you for your comment, Fairly. But when I first saw this study, I kind of was taken aback. Mm-hmm. And when I was talking with other coworkers, they were like, well, this does happen. So it's kind of like either people are on the spectrum of I didn't know this happened, or I know this happened, or this isn't happening, you're crazy kind of thing. And you being here to tell us it is happening and speaking for those who are experiencing it themselves. I wanted to interview someone who's part of the program getting, the benefits of this. Mm-hmm. And I understand because of privacy concerns, we can't talk to them.
Yes.
But can you tell me about the program? Because there's 3 phases. Mm-hmm. And with Black Girls Initiative, what is happening right now?
If you give me one moment, I'm going to call Kara because she's available to be on. So just give me one moment.
Okay, good. All right. Pamela Grace saying this is so good. Great discussion. Thank you so much. Black women are so strong in every struggle. Much respect. Thank you, Adam Gonzalez. Thank you so much again, all of y'all, for commenting. So this topic has really resonated with so many people, and really all of us can learn from it. And again, the bottom line is what Kara has been saying. Kara, excuse me. She's going to be joining us soon. It's like, we just want love for our group too. Like we just all want to get along, be kind. That's really the end goal of everything. So here's one. Slim Thick Spells saying my friend going through that at her workplace. So that's very interesting as well. I mean, you have to realize, if you don't think that this is happening, that it is. If you have so many people commenting, that it's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree. I have Kara on the line, and I know she'd love to provide her input.
Yes, Kara, how are you?
Hi, are you speaking to me?
Yes, I'm speaking to you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I apologize. I don't know what's going on. I usually don't have tech issues, but I'm doing well, and I am ready to answer any questions.
Okay, awesome. So I've been just talking with Jasmine. We've had a great conversation. A lot of people joining in on it as well. Just about the study. And we were getting to the topic about what is being done by BGI. And so Jasmine was talking a little bit about that, but I'd ask you what is happening and what are the results that you're seeing?
Absolutely. So I don't know how much Jasmine has been able to go ahead and explain, but I'll just tell you what we've been working on. So we actually have three missions. We want to reach our mission, through three different avenues, and those avenues are typically awareness, support, and then policy recommendations. So for awareness, we want to include publications. So we want to be able to write things. We really want to be able to get the data and the facts out there, and also publish op-eds, and even give students and young women in the community opportunities to actually go ahead and be published. Also, we like to put different PSAs out, whether through its radio or through social media and different news articles. And we really want to increase our web presence. Our support campaign is where we started our Project MISS program, where we really wanted to go ahead and connect young women who are at risk with other women who have been previously involved in the juvenile justice system and who found a way out and found a better way to live. And so we want to connect those women as well. And then our change component is really using our legal power as an actual legal entity to affect policy change. So we want to actually make recommendations to those who are in charge. We want to be able to partner with other organizations that are aligned with us in regards to the policy changes that we seek. And so far, what we've really done, and on top of all of the work we do behind the scenes, we really, really want to elevate the voices of the young women in these communities. And so with that, we like to host what we call our BGI roundtables, where choose a topic that seems to be prevalent. There seems to be a lot of issues around this topic, particularly for young Black women and Black women alike. And we give the floor to the young women, and they go ahead and they talk and they inform us on what's going on in their communities and what they feel needs to be changed. And we also invite legislators and policymakers and those who could really affect change. We invite them to those conversations. And we've done that in the past. We've had a few, we've had some about hair discrimination, domestic violence, about mental health in the community. And we plan to do plenty more where we really elevate the voices of young women, and that we take what they've shared with us and we use that to inform our policy recommendations and the other awareness campaigns that we run.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I want to read out LaToyce Johnson, her comment. She says, please understand that this has been going on since slavery and still continues. No one's saying you are not going through it. We're asking for a way to stop it. And you were telling me, Jasmine, that you get emotional thinking about how this has made a change. Tell me what you've been seeing from the girls working with BGI.
So it's one thing to be, so I'm a third year student at Thurgood Marshall Law School at TSU, and I'm about to be 30 in August. So I'm a little bit removed from that core age range where we want this program to be effective as a preventative measure. And so these young women, they're coming up with their own ideas and strategies. We just had a meeting this Monday where they were strategizing on how they can communicate with local leaders, particularly with the mental health space, clinicians, clinics, advocates, legislatures, school board directors, and such, so they can get this information as to what services are being provided in the mental health space for young Black women students. How do we ask them questions that we can understand? What do they even know about mental health? Do they acknowledge their feelings? Do they have someone to talk to? What is their home life like? So they're coming up with these questions on their own. And it's really amazing to see that they're using their own agency and their own critical thinking skills and analysis skills, even with the assistance through SMU, We have researchers who assisted, and one of them was on the call to help them say, okay, how can we then measure the data? Do we want to do it by hand? Do we want it to be an online questionnaire? What are we going to do when we collect the information, over a long span of time? So they're using their own agency to solve the issue. So it's emotional because it's frustrating that it's still happening, but it's also emotional because it's gratifying because we're a part of the solution. Yes, they have the space to share their feelings and their thoughts and such, but they're also strategizing a solution to the problem to hopefully prevent these young women who will be reached out to through this initiative, so that by the time they turn 20 or 18 or 25 or older, they already have that framework of knowing and being aware of how they're thinking, what their mental health state is, how they're feeling, who they can talk to in a safe space in confidential manner, so that as they grow up, it will be preventative. They can at least have some tools, some ideas on how to deal with this stuff as they continue living. That's very important. And for me, that's my favorite part of the program, is we're trying to reach out to the young women while they're still young. So as they grow up, they can have some tools that maybe we didn't have, growing up. And connecting them, like Kara said, with older women who've also gone through different situations, that can be in a mentorship with them,
Agreed. And just to tag on to what Jasmine said, I love what Jasmine said, and we are equipping them with self-advocacy skills to not only be able to advocate for themselves in particular spaces, but also we're teaching them the skills that they need to connect with those who can make changes. So it's sort of an out of the mouth of babes type situation. We're listening to the young voices who are actually impacted. We're watching history replay itself, but we're giving these young ladies the skills and the agency to use their voices to connect them with those who are empowered, to bring awareness and then to bring about change.
Yeah, it's not enough just to talk about it. Like one person commented, we know we have this problem. We know, I, as an adult, we have this problem. Your mother, your aunt, your grandmother, but what are we going to do to change it? And so the major reason that BGI exists is to change this from the young age.
Absolutely. And there's an advantage with working with BGI because we function within Thurgood Marshall School of Law and the Earl Carl Institute. And so we focus specifically on legal issues and policy. So these girls have a direct connection to people who can then connect them to those who can make changes. So they're getting this, they not only have the space to express what many women and generations before us have expressed or experienced, but this time they're able to be connected to those who can help, and their voices are the catalyst for that change.
Yeah, that's amazing, and I'm glad that you guys are highlighting how this is a solution. This is just about moving forward and helping each other out. And that's not to say that it's just Black girls, it's people in general. And I think that's very important, because I've seen comments kind of directed towards, you guys are not victims, we aren't victims, but there's no victimhood here. And I've looked at the study, talked to you both for the story, which you can find. Someone was asking, where can I find more information about BGI and all that? All those links are on the website. And I just want to thank you all for both talking to me about this and talking to our platform and being a voice for so many who relate to this. And I think we can all learn from it. It's the bottom line is be kind to one another and show love for one another.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And take, and again, no, we are not victims, and we have experienced inequality at a disproportionate rate. We've experienced poverty at disproportionate rates. However, we are using what we know, what we've seen, what we've experienced, and we're using that to empower the next generation to make these changes. So victimhood is not in our vocabulary.
Yeah. And if I can add, I'm graduating from the law school in May. And so this type of work has definitely inspired what I want to do with my career. For me, it was affirming that, you know, this type of work is needed. And as someone who's going to be a lawyer, I have to take the bar and pass, praise God. I want to do this type of work. We need to have our own representation in this advocacy space. You know, diversity and inclusion and equity is a big hot topic nowadays. And I'm not saying that it's not fruitful, but as someone who will be an attorney soon, this program gives me the affirmation that this is the type of work I want to do in advocating, literally in my career path. So I'm really grateful to be able to see these young women and to partner with Kara. The Institute does a lot of great work, and this program, it's not just something because it's trending, it's something because it's real. We can make a true change in the lives of other women.
Definitely. Well, thank you both so much. I'm going to end this with Shirley saying this was a great, relevant, and much needed discussion. I hope we can talk more about this. And I understand that we zoned in on BGI, but hopefully we can do more stories because there's so many people interested in this, knowing about it, who are Black or not. And, you know, I really encourage everyone to go to our website if you're not on there already and see the story that we did more in depth. And, you know, if you have any comments, please do put that on the comment section of Facebook. Also, we're going to have this on our YouTube channel as well. So for this week, we'll wrap it up. And next week, we'll have something else talking about dangers that children face online, on your phone. They're on it all the time, on the internet. You think that there's, you know, predators out there. They're getting even more creative. And so we're going to be talking with Crime Stoppers about that. And you'll want to stick around for that. It'll be coming up next week. So Jasmine, Cara, thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, we'll see you later.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good night.
And don't forget to visit us at ECI BGI on Instagram and the Black Girls Initiative on Facebook.
All right. Awesome. Okay. We'll see y'all later.
Bye.